Okay, so tell me your name and what is your role here, and
My name's Brendan. I have the role that's called quartermaster, which is basically just I'm in charge of the space, and anything that happens, inside the space. I make sure people are prepared for their classes. I make sure that the place doesn't look like shit. I yell at people all the time.
okay.
I'm basically just a hard ass that yells at everybody. For lack of a better explanation.
Okay. So how long have you worked here, or?
Pretty much since the beginning. I showed up. It's funny. The guy. It was started by 3 people primarily. Far, who Mike told you about. Jordan, who taught the class here, and another guy named Jack, who was in the class. And everybody was looking for a place to work. All they have was small little Philly one-room apartments, basically. And they're like, well, let's just throw our money together, rent a little something, rent a garage or something. And they found this building, the arts building, which is primarily geared towards artists. It's actually, it was a bit of contention for a while in the building. Still to some degree, but now we're generally more accepted. All the artists in the building were like, you guys aren't artists. And I would always disagree with them. Like, what do you mean we're not artists? Are we painting, oil on canvas? No, but I can, make a toaster dance. I think that's art in some way or another. And so they ended up having open houses, basically just like, hey, look at what we're doing, like almost right off the bat. And I had a friend of mine who actually worked with Bar. He was like, hey, come check this place out. This was back in the spring of '09, so about 3 years. And I show up, and really at the time it was mostly Far just doing programming stuff. I was like, I got nothing to do here. I have nothing to do with any of these people. So I just sat in the corner, and while they were having a meeting or something, and I see that there's a pile of broken stuff. One's like a 20-inch LCD or something like that. And just had a post-it on it, broken. I'm like, all right, well, I was occupying myself. I just took a screwdriver and poked around that, fixed it. And I think Var was like, really, you fixed that? All right, well, here, just stick around. Let's fix some other stuff. That's how I ended up hanging out, just being the guy that could fix stuff. And, as we grew, I was the one who scouted this place out, moved it, and that was when we started actually having some sort of structure, management structure, and we basically just all sat around, and then there was only 5 of us at the time for the most part, and they're like, okay, well, you do this, you do this, you do that, and we moved into this space almost immediately because it was insane the amount of people that would come. We'd have, again, about a third the size of this room, which is only about 700 square feet. And it's packed. It'd be 25 people in the house. A bunch of, nerdy mouth breathers, no oxygen, nothing at all. This is in the summertime, too. We'd have film crews and newspapers, and we were something strange. Not that we were the first ones here, but just the way we were doing it, and I don't know, just the things we were doing at the time maybe were more novel than some places were doing. That's pretty much the beginning, and then we've sort of been kind of expanding. We've sort of plateaued a bit. And no one's complaining about that. It's like we've hit like a comfortable point. To really do any further expansion would require moving, which at this point, like financially and just logistically, would be an incredible burden. And right now we're at a really comfortable space between members and usage and storage and stuff like that. I mean, really, I like to say we operate on like the gym model. Whereas, a very small, not that small, like say a third of us really use the space here all the time. always doing projects. The rest of them are just people who just show up once a week.
And Mike said there's a total of about 14 or so.
I would go a little. I think total members probably closer to 20, but some of those are the members that are just merely it's the the $15 a month, the lowest level.
Right.
And there's really and most of us are actually in this room right now. There's like 5 or 6 of us who are just here all the time, and that works fine.
Yeah.
If we were going to move, it's funny, we're getting a great deal in this building. And no bills. The only bill we have is internet. All utilities, don't kind of worry about it. Paying $1 a square foot for free utilities.
Wow.
So,
that's great.
Yeah. In a neighborhood that's you don't have that much of a danger of being shot.
No, this is pretty good.
Very close to Center City, centrally located in general. And we have members from, I don't know, Royersford, whatever the hell that is, farmland. And Mike, well, I think, are you the furthest member, Mike?
Schwenksville,
What?
Google it.
Google it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get off the same exit as me, but go a different way.
So,
You're there like that?
can you?
I'm in Royersford.
I'm basically trying to formulate what this project is. I don't know yet.
I got you.
So
We're trying to,
part of the idea is that I would somehow connect hackerspaces or
might not be the most directly
somehow provide a tool, not literally or literally, that would help hackerspaces in some way. So my final question is basically, what kind of opportunities or problems or things do you think could be improved upon in the overall or specific micro macro of HIVE?
There is a line drawn right now between members about, say, a 5-year plan. And whereas some members want us to just grow into this basically enormous thing. It's like something that's just constantly multiplying and multiplying,
Right.
and multiplying. Whereas half of us just want to kind of stay as we are, have low key and have total, autonomy.
Right.
Which
Mhm.
is the side I'm on.
Right.
And, I can see the benefits of one side versus the other, pros and cons, but I think once you grow past a certain point, I think you don't become what you are anymore. We are now. I actually hate the term hackerspace.
What would you call it then?
Collaborative, technological research and education facility.
I like that.
It's wordy.
No,
But it's a lot friendlier. Okay, people hear, the average person hears hackerspace, what do they think of? Credit card fraud.
Right.
They think of people breaking into computers.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously, it doesn't, it's just a connotation. The word has, it doesn't mean that. But the average person, they don't know that. It
Right.
doesn't matter. It's always going to have that negative connotation. So I think, I don't know. I mean, nothing. There are lots of places called hackerspaces. They're all different sizes. There's a huge one out in San Francisco. There's the big one in New York. Actually, not.
Which one in San Francisco are you referring to?
Noise Bridge, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah, I was just speaking to Mitch earlier today.
Yeah, Mitch Altman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
He's actually kind of the reason I started this project. I met him at the same event.
He's like the mythical creature of
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah, I met Mitch. I spoke to him this morning, and he's on his way. Yeah, and he's on his way to Paris right now. But he said we could Skype.
Of course he is.
For 3 months, he's
Yeah.
going to be in Europe. So
Yeah, Mitch is like the Johnny Appleseed of hackerspaces.
Right.
There's not enough data really to compile and see okay, now what's going to happen. I just think it's a matter of public perception and whether or not, like I said, there was a boom initially for us. I think everyone, just because it was unique and something new. And look at these people.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of for various reasons, you know, anti-consumerism. People are fixing things rather than throwing them out, repurposing stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of also don't be afraid to take things apart. Don't be afraid to, you know,
Hack.
yeah, right. Whether that grows to the point of us having to have like an actual building and pay our taxes properly and have all sorts of like paperwork and everything. I mean, that once we reach that point, I would kind of just, I might just quietly walk away.
So keeping it small is important.
For me, yeah. And small is a relative term. 100 people can be small.
Right.
Right. But I don't know. I think it's just all the bullshit that would go along with being a large entity. Turn me into it. The whole point is, I mean, you know, you develop a camaraderie with these people, and just having access to, it's not the space, it's not the tools, you know, it's the people having access to their skill set, you know, their brains.
Right.
I'm not a computer guy, but almost every other guy is here.
Right.
Right. So if I need a computer problem solved, it's right next to me. You know, and I feel comfortable asking people because we all know each other. You know, we go to each other's, you know, events. We hang out. We're friends for the most part, and that's an important part of it for me. I guess the social aspect. It's
Yeah.
a long-winded way of saying that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That was great. Go ahead.
Is it Third Ward or it is Third Ward? So there's this talking earlier about how, you know, Philadelphia doesn't really have a foothold anymore in technology because as soon as a startup gets popular, they bang off to New York. One of the things that is happening now is that Brooklyn has a space called Third Ward. It's basically, I'd be familiar with, oh God, blanking. Jordan, what's the name of the place? Next Fab. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's basically going to be a giant. They have a giant Next Fab. It's basically to be a member there. Like everything costs money. You know, you can go in there wanting to get like a cube laid out of wood. It'll end up costing you $1,000 for some unknown reason. It's not that bad, but anyway. So they have this place in Brooklyn. Became really popular. So what are they doing? They bought or renovated this huge space. How many square feet are they? Like ridiculous amount, right? Anybody?
What's that?
Third Ward. How big are they? They're like 30,000 square feet, like a supermarket.
It's ridiculously huge.
And they're basic.
They bought an entire building.
Yeah.
They probably bought a building this size that we're in right now.
And so that's sort of like, one would say the corporate version of us, which actually kind of like, you go in there, it's going to be like an IKEA. You want to use a tool, there's going to be like a guy like in a uniform that's there to like walk you through it.
Have you seen the movie Dodgeball?
I've never seen it.
No. Okay. Well, then my analogy breaks down.
I saw parts of it.
Okay. Well, they're like
The big guy versus the little guy, you know?
They're like the Globo Gym to our average shows.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a place where you walk in, you're like, oh, I'm going to need some resistors and everything, and like there's going to be like, you know, everything's one of the charms I find of the hacker space is what the hell's in that box? I don't know. Open it up, let's take it apart. Whereas you know, that place is just going to be like a supermarket for everything, which is good. A lot of people, you know, they don't want to mess around. I always say that compared to our equivalent we have already, Next Fab, is like Next Fab is for people who want to make things. We are for people who make things, right? If you're just a person who wants to build one little thing, they have an idea in their head, that's a great place to go. You know, they'll walk you through it, they'll help you chisel it out. You walk out of there with a final product for a lot of money. We are more about people who always want to be making things, who always want to be, you know, taking things apart and coming up with new ideas. And I think this new place is going to cater mostly towards the people who just want to build something. That's neat.
That's what I like. I don't like
Party pretzel.
You have the remote on it?
Yeah, the remote.
Yeah, I tell you, I had mine in the reel, and
Caught fire?
yeah. Did I tell you that?
No.
I didn't catch fire. The glue started smoldering.
Pretty good idea.
I was just spacing out.